Thanks for joining us. We begin with some breaking news out of Scarborough. A shooting has killed a teenage boy. We'll take you live now to the investigation near Birchmount and Finch. Police say they got reports of a shooting in the area just before 2 p.m. They found the victim. He was taken to hospital with life-threatening injuries where he died. Now, police say they are searching for 2 suspects. We are expecting to hear from detectives this evening. We'll bring you any updates as we learn them. In other news tonight, we may be a few days away from the official start to summer, but it sure feels like it out there. Sunshine, tons of festivals, and then there's the gridlock. Patrick Swadden spent the day checking out the fun and the headaches it took to get anywhere.
This weekend, it's time to get out and celebrate Dad. Forget to get him something? Don't worry. With festivals in every corner of the city, Toronto's got you covered. You can take him to catch some artwork or tunes at Luminato Festival, or North by Northeast up on the Danforth. Maybe he'd like to zip off to Toronto Island to catch the Dragon Boat Festival, or visit Taste of Little Italy. He'd probably love to do a 10K along the waterfront, right? At least, if the cool down happens at Ribfest. Of course, lots of things to do in the city means time spent with friends and family, excitement, joy. It also means lots of this, congestion. And that has people asking whether festival-heavy weekends are the best time for new streetcar track installation downtown, especially when no new track is being installed.
Probably 45 minutes from Jarvis Street to here.
You never know what's happening, and then maybe that's on me, but I never know. You're kind of figure, okay, I can go this way one day, I can't go that way the other day.
And it's not just traffic. 2 out of 5 Toronto Island ferries out of service means huge crowds at the terminal.
It's very long, it's very long.
We came here early, but we missed the boat ride just by 5 minutes. It's irritating because you want to spend the whole day there.
Recent reports have shown we have the 3rd worst congestion in the world. It is hard to get around this town.
This expert welcomes the festivals, especially after a few dark years, but says short-term we need better coordination citywide, such as
scheduling the routine and scheduled maintenance of the TTC, making sure that that's coordinated with where the festivals and where the sporting activities or the road closures are, so that we're not exacerbating an existing problem.
So, how do we do that?
There is no central agency with the ability to control all of the players. A lot of this has to be done in good faith between the different groups.
But this advocate says that wasn't always the case.
David Miller, when he was mayor, set up a coordinating committee. It was disbanded under Rob Ford. John Tory sort of reestablished it. Olivia Chow's talking about creating a committee.
The city couldn't confirm whether a committee is in the works, but says it does its best to manage construction and maintenance with arts and culture.
The city is committed to addressing traffic congestion. Of course, we're trying to balance that with the needs of the people and the businesses who are coming to Toronto, live in Toronto.
Meaning for now, if you want more time with Dad without losing as much hair as he has, make sure you plan ahead. Patrick Swadden, CBC News, Toronto.
Sophia joining us now. A beautiful day if you're stuck in traffic or stuck in line waiting for the ferry. At least that's the one good thing.
Yeah, enjoy it while you can because the heat is about to get cranked up. In fact, we're forecasting a massive heat wave for much of this upcoming work week for the eastern half of the country, with a bullseye on parts of southern Ontario, southern Quebec, and parts of eastern Ontario. Now, this is more than just frizzy hair or needing to drink a little bit of extra water. This could be downright deadly and dangerous for many of those most vulnerable. You will want to check on anybody susceptible to heat-related illness for the next 3 to 7 days. The records are sure to be shattered, not just heat records, but all-time humidex records as well. And it's not just the sticky, oppressive, multiple days feeling into the mid-40s. It's the fact that our bodies won't be able to cool down and recalibrate into the overnight period, especially if you don't have air conditioning, as our overnight lows will be what our daytime highs should normally be this time of year. Again, especially that stretch between Monday to Thursday of this upcoming work week, feeling into the 40s for multiple days. You are asking why. Here is the culprit. It's this big ridge of high pressure, this oppressive ridge of high pressure that will allow warm air to sink south. And as it does so, our temperatures will rise anywhere from 5 to 10 degrees above seasonal all across the region. This will meet heat warning criteria alone in southern Ontario and in northern Ontario, but there's another big part to the puzzle this time, and it's the fact that this will allow for a really muggy, warm wind to filter in from the Gulf of Mexico. This will rise the relative humidity, or the dew point in the air, how much moisture is in the air. This will affect our ability to cool ourselves. Imagine, Shannon, being wrapped in plastic wrap. That's how it will feel with Humidex values anywhere from 40 to 45. We will talk more in the long range about what symptoms to watch out for and how you may be able to find a little bit of relief around the lakeshore areas, or if a thunderstorm rolls through your neck of the woods. Meantime, enjoy a really pleasant Father's Day before the heat cranks up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Shannon.
The science behind the heat. We'll talk to you in a little bit to get some of those tips and watch for symptoms. Thanks, Sophia.
Thank you.
A battle is brewing over a longtime Liberal stronghold. For decades, the federal Liberals have held the seat in Toronto St. Paul's, but now it's up for grabs, and it looks like it could be a tight race. As Clara Pasica shows us, advanced voting is underway this weekend.
Here in the riding of Toronto St. Paul's, some voters were eager to get their ballots in early. The seat has been a Liberal stronghold since 1997, but with longtime MP Carolyn Bennett stepping down late last year, it's up for grabs. These voters are ready to have their say.
I'm interested in food safety, crime, just jobs for youth, since I've got some youth in the family that need jobs.
I'm not satisfied with the government right now, and I think we're in desperate need of a change.
There's been consistency, continuity, leadership, and we need much of the same. And we need even a stronger voice in Ottawa. So I will be supporting Leslie Church.
The Liberals want to keep the seat red with their candidate, Leslie Church.
I feel very strongly that this is a community whose values are quite clear, that they want people who are fighting for the things that matter to them, to their families, healthcare, childcare, housing, a great future, great jobs for their kids, for their grandkids. And so I think with that message, I actually feel really positive.
This polling expert says the Liberals have a good shot of holding on, but it's unlikely to be a slam dunk.
We expect the Liberals to win by a margin of between 4 and 8 points. The Liberals, again, should get the advantage here. They should be considered the favorite, but not by the margins that we saw in past years and decades.
Competing candidates say they think it's time for change.
Why is it only now that we're starting to see policy changes? What's Trudeau doing? In a lot of ways, I think this is a referendum on him. And I'd like to provide an alternative.
There are some folks who are losing a little bit of faith in him and just not happy with how things have been going. And so they are now leaning hopefully towards our end. But it's been a lot of conversation just looking around how there hasn't been much change. The broken promises, false promises, and that's primarily what we've been hearing.
The Conservative candidate, Don Stewart, was not available to speak to CBC today. But the choice for voters goes beyond the four main parties. There are 84 candidates on the ballot, making it the longest in the history of federal politics, according to Elections Canada.
I've never seen a ballot that long in my life.
Whether voters cast their ballots at advanced polls between now and Monday or wait until Election Day on June 24th, there will still be a Liberal government with Justin Trudeau as the Prime Minister. But however these voters vote, it will send a message. Clara Pasica, CBC News, Toronto.
Okay, turning to provincial politics next, the leader of Ontario's NDP saying, bring it, as the party prepares for the possibility of an early election call.
So, Doug, wherever you are right now, whether it's at the cottage or in the back rooms, making some kind of deal, here's what I have to say to you. If you're going to call an election 2 years early, I'm ready.
That's Mart Stiles rallying supporters at the Sheraton Hotel this afternoon. Premier Ford has repeatedly denied that he will be sticking to the planned election for this time next year. When reporters have questioned him on speculation his party would call an early election, he would not answer directly. Now, meantime, in a statement to CBC Toronto, a spokesperson for the Ontario Liberals confirmed its declared electoral urgency. Now, that's a move that allows the party to speed up the nomination process for local candidates ahead of the next provincial election. In the statement, the spokesperson said the move is all about Ontario Liberals being ready to fight an election in every riding across Ontario, whether that's in October 2026 or any point sooner, adding that it's been very clear since Bonnie Crombie was elected leader that the Ford government is worried about its fortunes in the next campaign. Speaking of the Premier, Doug Ford was in Newmarket today for the York Pride Festival.
Happy Pride. We're here every year. We have the great team, the PC team here. Come down and have some fun.
More than 2,000 people marching along Main Street this afternoon to celebrate Pride. That included Ford and local members. The parade also including service workers and community groups, including a float with some live music. Turning to Calgary next, where it's more bad news. The city declaring a state of local emergency as officials race to try and get the water back on. Just yesterday, officials said repairs to the water main could take as long as 5 weeks. Jamie Strachan takes us there.
This is an all-hands-on-deck situation.
Calgary's crippling water shortage shows no sign of ending soon. Today, officials declaring a state of emergency, which will allow the city to do a number of things, including going on private property to do repairs. There was also another desperate plea for residents to use less water.
I hate to do this to you, Calgary, but I'm going to have to do it again. We are going to need to reduce our water use.
On June 5th, a major feeder main ruptured. Now, more so-called hotspots have been discovered, which will take more than a month to fix.
We've seen the complexity of the one fix that we've been managing for the last week. Now that we have 5 fixes to make, this will be a complex undertaking.
Currently, all outdoor water use is banned. Indoors, shorter showers and reduced toilet flushing is being encouraged. Employers are also being asked to let people work from home.
It would save them the time of having a shower in the morning, and no one has to worry about what they look or smell like for that matter.
The restrictions have been a headache for residents and increasingly difficult for many businesses.
It doesn't work in a retail or restaurant setting for sure. So that's where it's going to be tricky.
What Calgary is currently experiencing could happen more frequently, experts say, in cities across the country, and will require billions to update and fix.
The older that we push our infrastructure, the higher the risk goes. And right now, across Canada, 30 to 40% of water-based infrastructure, so distribution systems, piping, pumping stations, is at or reaching the end or beyond its service life.
As a Calgary resident, she too has learned that turning off the tap is not so easy.
I have 2 young children at home. Not doing laundry is tough. Trying to get them to share the bathwater is tough.
For now in Calgary, it's about patience, which will be increasingly tested with a long, hot summer ahead. Jamie Strachan, CBC.
The Princess of Wales making her first public appearance today since telling the world she has cancer. Now, the King attended as well, despite also undergoing treatment for cancer. Dominic Velitis is in London and takes us through the day.
This was Catherine, the Princess of Wales' first official public appearance in more than 6 months, and although it doesn't represent a full-time return to royal duties, it will have been reassuring for many people who've been keen to see the senior royal back in the public eye. And the crowds here in London and those watching at home had plenty of opportunity today to catch a glimpse of her. Earlier we saw her taking part in the carriage parade, which is a key part of the royal procession marking the King's official birthday. We then saw her and her children watch the main event from the window of the Duke of Wellington's former office, which overlooks Horse Guards Parade, where Trooping the Colour is traditionally held. And then there was the big moment of the day. The Princess, along with her husband Prince William and their 3 children, joined the King, Queen and other senior royals on the balcony of Buckingham Palace to watch the traditional RAF flypast, which involved 10 waves of aircraft topped off by the Red Arrows display team. Thankfully, the terrible weather we had here in London this morning cleared just in time for the RAF to do their thing. So it was a big moment today, a big moment for Catherine, for the royal family, and of course for the King, who's also receiving treatment for cancer. We know from palace officials that he was very pleased to learn his daughter-in-law would be there for his official birthday celebrations today. But yesterday, Catherine actually released a statement in which she gave an update on her health. She said her treatment is ongoing and will be for a few more months, but that she is making good progress. I must say it was a very honest and personal statement. She mentioned how she has good days and bad days when she said she felt weak and tired, and that although she was looking forward to today's big event and is hoping to join a few other public engagements this summer, she acknowledged that she is not out of the woods yet, and that she is learning how to be patient, especially with the uncertainty that inevitably comes with a cancer diagnosis. Dominic Velitis, CBC News, London.
Closer to home, it's National Indigenous Peoples Month, and in Toronto, that means the Nami-Res powwow is back.
In many ways, arts can transform us. It can lift us up. It can allow us to hear each other, be empathetic with each other. And arts has that power. And that hopefully would inspire us to do more to deal with justice and reconciliation with Indigenous peoples.
The free event also includes an arts festival showcasing Indigenous diversity along with traditional and contemporary music, dance, and food. We spoke to a member of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation who tell us why this event is so important to the community.
For the Mississaugas of the Credit, we're constantly reaching out to different organizations within our territory, and this is one of the places from Fort York, which is a great deal to the Mississauga of the Credit. Only that because of what Fort York represents in the 1812 in the war. So it's establishing those relationships with the organization and for them to make space for us so that we can come here and share our story, our culture, our history, our identity, and what a great way to do that through the Nami-Res powwow.
If you haven't had a chance to check out the festival, a full day of live music and dance continues tomorrow, 11 to 4. And more music, dancing, fun, and food over at the 2024 Toronto Caribbean Carnival.
Annual event to celebrate Caribbean culture and come together, an event that brings so many people together from so many diverse backgrounds, a real gem in our city.
The Carnival kicking off their season-long celebrations at Scarborough Town Centre. Caribbean food vendors were offering up delicious meals. There were also goods from local artists and, of course, just tons of music and dance. It is the largest event of its kind in North America with an expected 2 million visitors. The Grand Parade goes August 3rd. We're heading into a break. We'll be right back. In about 90 minutes or so, the puck drops for Game 4 at the Stanley Cup Final. Edmonton is on the brink of being swept. Fans hoping they can hang on to extend the series. Sam Sampson is in Edmonton.
Though the Oilers are down 3-0 in the Stanley Cup Final, the athletes on the team say, yes, they believe that they can come back, win 4 in a row, and ultimately win the Stanley Cup. When it comes down to it, the head coach says he is proud of how his team has played over the past 3 games. They are setting up plays. They are getting breakaways. The defense is doing its job. It's really just a matter of getting past the Florida Panthers netminder, Sergei Bobrovsky. Now, he's called Bob the Brick Wall for a reason. It is not an easy task. Head coach Chris Knobloch of the Oilers did say, as I mentioned, he's proud of the team and that he was asked the other day, are you more psychologist than coach at this point? Do you have to really bring up the energy in the locker room? Look, Knobloch says confidence is not the issue here. His athletes believe that they can do it. Here's how some of them are approaching tonight's game.
Obviously, I can bring out all the cliches of it's one game at a time and all that good stuff. But, I mean, that's really what it is. At this point, I feel like through 3 games, have we deserved to win a game? I think so. I think we've played 2 at least pretty good games. It hasn't happened for us, but still, I mean, it's 4 games. That's all it is. We had stretches of 8 games and 16 games throughout the regular season. We won 3 straight against Dallas. So we can do it. It's a matter of just finding that first win and go from there.
So the fans believe, but the Oilers really do have a tough task ahead of them. The only other team in NHL history to be down 3-0 and then come back in the final to win the Stanley Cup was back in 1942, the Toronto Maple Leafs. Should the Oilers lose tonight, the Florida Panthers will win their first Stanley Cup in franchise history. We'll also see something that hasn't really happened in a while in this sport, a sweep in the Stanley Cup Final. The last time that happened was back in 1998 when the Detroit Red Wings absolutely destroyed the Washington Washington Capitals in 4 games. So tonight, history will happen one way or the other. Sam Sampson, CBC News, Edmonton.
Sophia's back with us now. You know, the heat is on for Edmonton, but you're talking about real heat in our province, potentially dangerous too.
Yeah, the drama in the weather world is just as much so in the hockey world as well. We are talking about potentially dangerous and even deadly and oppressive heat incoming. Let's start with the good news, and that's Father's Day is going to be super pleasant for all of dads. Tea times and outdoor barbecues, and then the heat really gets cranked up, as we mentioned, on Monday. It's not just really warm temperatures, it's that oppressive, sticky humidity. Your body won't have the chance to cool down when we have multiple days feeling again into the mid-40s. Watch the heat really tick up and the humidex really tick up. Feeling like the mid-40s, close to in Windsor on Monday. Watch Tuesday, Wednesday into Ottawa, feeling like 45. It'll be feeling like the high 30s and low 40s into parts of Sudbury and into Timmins as well. Now, there is the chance of localized storms, scattered storms and torrential downpours throughout many of this heat wave stretch. It's not going to be widespread relief, but it could be short-felled and localized relief. But you remember, we've got this big ridge of high pressure. It's creating all that hot and compressing air. It's bringing in that humidity. It's going to make for overnight temperatures that stay elevated and really increasing the threat of heat-related illness. You want to watch out for anybody most vulnerable, pregnant women, young children, pets, the elderly, anybody out on the streets. Watch for the changing symptoms of heat stroke and heat exhaustion. You want to keep the house ventilated or cooled, especially if you don't have an air conditioning. We'll be watching for the records to fall this upcoming work week. The last time we had a long stretch of heat and humidity like this was back in 2018, a 7-day stretch. We will finally find some relief and head back to a muggy but more seasonal feeling weekend next weekend. Until then, if you can get down to a lakeshore region, you will find a little bit of relief with a bit of lake breeze. But even the mornings, Shannon, are going to feel like the low 30s when you wake up to head to school and work. So that's super muggy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you're going to continue tracking it for us, so we'll check in with you again tomorrow night. Thanks, Sophia.
Sounds good.
Before we go, we're heading to another festival favorite in Toronto, the Taste of Little Italy. It brings together thousands of people to savor all that Italy has to offer, from a tiramisu competition, a pizza masterclass, dancing, and of course, some more food. The festival runs all weekend. That is it for us. Thanks for being here. We'll see you again tomorrow night at 11.